going to Manhattan, I had found a statue of I think, I don't know if it was Bruce Lee or like a martial artist, and I loved it because it was a statue of a martial artist. So I was like, you know what would be great is if I had a statue like that of Spider-Man. And remember, at that time, it didn't exist, right?
Right.
The closest thing we had was action figures, which were really poor at the time, you know. So I was like, you know what, this is a brilliant idea. So I went and I met with manufacturers. I was like 18, 19 years old. I borrowed my cousin's suit, which was too big for me. So you could imagine. And I go to a manufacturer and I'm like, look, I'd like to produce this. And they're telling me why, you cannot produce this. It won't classify as a toy. We can't do this, basically. And so I was like, okay, but I didn't believe it. Obviously, even though I was young, I knew enough not to just believe whatever I'm being told. And then I went to Marvel. I set up an appointment at Marvel, and I went again as the same oversized suit. And I'm sitting across the table. I had a briefcase, everything. And I said, look, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have the license to produce these statues. And the woman sitting across from me, she's looking at me like, that will never work. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. I get that. But I believe it will work. So just give me the chance. And if I fail, I fail. And if I don't, you've got nothing to lose.
Right.
So we had a meeting for about an hour, me trying to convince her to do this thing and her trying to convince me that it will not work. Okay. And ultimately, being green, being young, being oversized suit, they didn't give me the license. And this was a time when Marvel was struggling. This was a
Right.
time when, wait, was Marvel struggling then? No, maybe not. No.
Actually,
Marvel,
they were, because if you're talking 89 through 91, they were struggling hard.
well, no, remember there was a crash, right? So Marvel peaked at 89, 91. Marvel was peaking. They were selling $1 million copies, and then it crashed. And it crashed around 93, 94, 95, something like that. Anyway, so I don't think they were struggling just yet. In fact, I think they may have been on their peak, but I forget. But so she didn't give it to me. And 2 years later, um, 2 years later, I picked up a little Wolverine statue, and maybe 3 or 4 years later, Bowen Designs introduced the first Superman statue.
Oh
Literally. And Bowen Design became a multi-millionaire. He was the first. He was the innovator.
Right.
And he was what I was trying to do. He did what I was trying to do. And because of that, I was able to get to know him early on, and I was fascinated. So, and he was a small businessman, so he took calls from anybody. And so he and I, in a very small community, became not friends, but we talked within a forum and sometimes by phone. And I watched that business grow from Bowen making little pieces here. I remember the first time he introduced the bus, for example, to, I don't know if you know, I mean, I'm sure you know, but the industry now is huge. They're making $3,000 statues. They're making, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I was literally at the forefront of this whole thing, and it didn't work out for me. That's my story.
I am so sorry, but that's an interesting thing by itself. I mean, so over the years, you've simply amassed that much of the collection.
So over the years, so now I'm a Bowen fan, right? I'm obviously a superhero statue fan, right? And Bowen is knocking it out of the park. He's producing it exactly as I would. In other words, he's capturing that material.
Right.
What happened fairly quickly within a 10-year period, when other people realized, my God, money's being made, other companies started jumping on the bandwagon. But at that time, the comic industry had crashed, and they were reintroducing the new designs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Bowen stuck to the original material, and Bowen was the most successful throughout. So I've been collecting the Bowen Designs ever since. So it's going on 25, 30 years. And so that's why my house.
Do you still talk to them?
It has been a long time. So It's been a very, very long time. So I'll tell you the whole arc. So now Bowen Design is producing, and Bowen is cool. Randy Bowen is cool. He's cool enough that you see the well, I don't know if you can see it, but the Colossus.
Yeah.
I personally had a hand in that Colossus because he produced it and he was like, "This is what I'm going to introduce." I was like, "Randy, the shoulder pad is wrong. You got to fix that." He was like, "Oh my God, you're right." And he fixed the shoulder pad. So yeah, it was very, very cool. We had a small little forum community. We knew each other.
Has he ever customized anything for you?
No, never like that. Like I said, he's made tweaks and changes to pieces that I've recommended and that other people have recommended, but he's never customized something. One of the things I was trying to get him to do, and he never did it, we talked about it, but he never did it, was I wanted him to do a Kirby line of busts, you know, and he just kept saying, he couldn't bring the Kirby style into a 3D. And I was like, "But you've already done it," because he did a couple. But anyway, so he never customized a piece just for me, no. So I was collecting. Now Randy Bowen is on top of the world, and everybody wants to be Randy Bowen. Yeah. Diamond Select, who is now the top of the game and are producing crazy stuff, they want to be Randy Bowen. And Randy Bowen, I don't know what happened. I really don't know the story, but now Randy is so successful. I mean, he is sickly successful. And he now starts working on a new studio, and he showed us a picture of it. And it's a huge facility. It's big. It's There's going to be a Randy Bowen museum, and Marvel took out the license from him. Marvel took the license from him, and it's like, oh my God. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's okay, you know, because he made enough money to be okay. But they just pull the rug right. And at a certain point, the license would be for 3 years, and every 3 year, there would be a delay. Like Marvel would give him grief. You know, there would be a delay. And we were used to that until the final time where they were like, "Nope, we're not renewing your license." And they gave the license to everybody else, it seems, except Randy Bowen. And
but he started it.
He started it. Like, he started it completely and absolutely. Every aspect he did. Every aspect. We had him on the show, by the way. We had him on the previous show with my other friends.
Right.
We interviewed him. And we talked to him and stuff like that. He's a very cool guy. Very, very cool guy. At one point, we were going to get into business together. I produced a Hulk, and I was trying to get him to produce it, you know, to manufacture it. Right. And he was considering it, and then he changed his mind. He decided not to do that. I hired one of the sculptors that he hired.
Right.
And I was like, "I want a piece. I want that piece." By the way, so let me show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that piece is the
piece that I had brought to Marvel. What I mean, I brought that image to Marvel. This was from a Gary Frank, Peter David comic book, Professor Hulk.
Right.
And I said, "I want to produce that as a statue." And they were like, "No, it's never going to work. Nobody's going to buy it, blah, blah, blah." But so later on, I had one of Randy Bowen's sculptors sculpt that for me. So this is a one of a kind. No one else has it. And I was going to try to get Randy Bowen to produce it, you know, but he never did.
Oh, man.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't miss it.